We want to talk with you about the books that feed your imagination and the vices that spark your soul.
We drink, we curse, we read things. Come sit by us. Expect no judgment, just good times.
Welcome to Paper and Vices. Books reviewed, vices indulged.
Mature content warning.
I am Victoria Papers. Ooh, I had to think about it again. Good job.
I am Lee Vices.
And we are here.
Woohoo!
And sober. This is us sober. I think the alcohol helps. I really do. I'm down to my last 3 pumpkin beers in the fridge, though, so.
Ooh, are those still the 10% ABV madness, or is it something
One
else?
of them is. 2 other ones are just random stuff.
Random pumpkin beers.
Yeah, it's a headache, migraine-y day, so I'm drinking red Gatorade and ice water.
Woohoo! So are you very particular about your Gatorade?
Yeah, it has to be orange or red. And it's not fruit punch and orange, it's red and orange.
Yes.
Because it doesn't taste like fruit, it tastes like red.
It tastes like red, yes.
I tried another flavor, and they were, what was it? It was blue something. It was gross. It was super gross. Just no thank you. No, thank you.
I do like the red one. I also like the white one.
I've never tried the white one.
No, it's pretty good, but I think it's hard to beat the red one because it has, even though it doesn't really taste like fruit punch, it still has the whole reminiscence of like childhood, like drinking sugary red drinks, if that makes sense. Even though it doesn't...
It's definitely comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like watered down Hawaiian punch, basically. They still make Hawaiian punch? That shit had to be so bad for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to look in the drink aisle next time and see if they've still got, like, the little packets. Probably not.
I mean, you can buy 1-gallon jugs of it at Walmart, and you can buy pouches of it at Soda Emporium. Oh, Hawaiian punch comes in blue and green now? Say what?
Kids are so spoiled these days.
Jesus. Yeah, my kid who doesn't get Hawaiian punch is, yeah.
I feel like your kid in Hawaiian punch and my son in Hawaiian punch would not be good things. That's actually something we should do next time we get them together, is just give them a bunch of...
No.
Just set them loose somewhere. Cracked out on Hawaiian punch.
So we have tried. We were planning on going to Disney World in November of 2021. Or no, of 2020, rather. And then in January of 2021. And then in April of 2021. And then the surge came and the vaccines weren't still. And we were just like, fuck it, we're done. We're done. Yeah. We're not going to try. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're just going to go do like 2 days with friends next month. We're not doing the week-long thing. We're not staying at Fort Wilderness. We're not losing our damn minds. We're just gonna do a couple days, and 2 days is enough, and then we're gonna...
Yes.
She doesn't usually get a lot of sugar because she has the ADHDs. She's not medicated for it because she does really well in school, and it doesn't interrupt her life. It just occasionally makes us drink, and that's fine. I don't care. I'd rather have an extra glass of wine here or there than put my kid on meds before she really needs them for quality of life. And she has Tourette's, so she's just got a lot of things that make her vibrate, basically. You can't fucking take a kid to Disney World and not let them eat a bunch of shit.
Nope.
So she's basically going to be the equivalent of on cocaine. Not saying my child's going to be on cocaine. I'm saying she's going to be on so much sugar, it's the equivalent of it.
There will be lots of vibrating all over the park.
When we walk into the park, it's going to be bling, 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 bling. And that's going to be interesting. Dear Starbucks, thank you for having a contract with Disney. I appreciate you.
We'll slip in some Irish whiskey for some Baileys for your bag. You can just pour the Baileys in your coffee. It'll be fine.
One of the friends we're going with was already like, it's so easy to sneak alcohol into Disney. And I was like, whoa, I was just planning on paying like $27 for a beer when we're there. Um, I wasn't planning on breaking rules, but okay.
You could
I'm
do
actually,
both, you know.
I'm actually really looking forward to it. Like, the itinerary for while we're in the Magic Kingdom is ride the Haunted Mansion and eat food.
It sounds like a splendid time.
Just like
Yeah.
go around. We'll just tell her that, like, what is it, Fantasyland or Frontierland, wherever, whatever land the Haunted Mansion is, we'll just be like, this is all Disney World, this is Main Street, that's the whole thing. There's nothing behind the castle. No, but it'll be good. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the we have to eat like normal people when we get home part. That I'm not looking forward to.
No.
No.
That's okay. Don't think about coming home yet.
Yeah.
Think about getting to Disney first. So.
But the day we're recording this, for like 5 weeks out, and I'm starting to almost let myself get excited. Almost. Because I let myself get excited the other times, and that was a mistake. Almost. And like, the Disney is the second half of our trip. The first half of our trip, I'm very excited about. But I know that'll happen either way. Like, even if the killer hornets, was it, or something? The murder hornets come back and infest Disney World, so we don't go. The first part of the trip will still happen.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm almost excited. Maybe next week I'll actually let myself be excited. We'll see how this steps up.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Just a little bit sparkle. I may have looked at our magic bands the other day and I was like, oh, maybe we'll use them this time.
What are you reading these days?
Okay, so I mentioned last episode that I had been reading a couple shitty books.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it on purpose. Like, I don't mind a little bit of punishment coming from preferred sources when necessary. But punishing yourself with shitty books, reading two at a time for your book podcast is just, no, don't. That's not sexy punishment. That's just dumb. So I'm reading this book recommended by a friend called The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. I hope I'm saying her last name right, which I'm pretty sure is the disclaimer I give to every author except for Shannon Mayer. It's so fucking good. It's told in first person and there's a perspective shift, but the perspective shift goes with a time shift. So it's like a reporter goes to interview the Bone Witch where she is now because things have happened, and he talks about and describes what she's doing now and what her life is like now and what magic she's doing now. But when it shifts to her perspective, it's her telling her story of how she got there to him. It's done incredibly well, and I'm listening to the audiobook of it, and it is one of my favorite audiobook performances I've heard. It's produced so well, and the voice actors are so good. We've talked before about Memoirs of a Geisha, and how I believe we both liked it.
I don't think I ever read the book. I did the movie.
Okay.
So we've talked briefly about that.
I really, really like the book Memoirs of a Geisha. I understand. It's one of those weird books that it's like one of those weird pieces of media. Like, you really, really enjoy it, and then you find out later it's a little bit problematic for a lot of reasons. And to be fair, I don't think it ever claimed to not be problematic, what with starting with the human trafficking and all.
Yeah.
But this very much has that same gentle vibe, but it's fantasy, so it's not appropriating or stealing from any one specific culture. Like, the biggest problem with Memoirs of a Geisha, if I remember correctly, and I could be totally wrong, feel free to correct me. God knows someone will. One of the biggest problems with Memoirs of a Geisha is that it was written by a white dude.
Yeah.
And, like, if it hadn't been written by a white dude, it would have fixed all the problems. But it's beautiful prose. It's a good book. It's paced amazingly. It has a good payoff. The end is that perfect amount of ambiguous. Memoirs of a Geisha is what I mean. So the Bone Witch still has that really beautiful, almost gentle prose where her life just kind of unfolds in the telling of it really beautifully. And people are from all different races and cultures, but the writer Rin is a Filipino woman.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of that influence, and it feels very Asian, but not specifically Chinese or Japanese or Filipino or Vietnamese or Korean. It is wonderful to listen to. There's no repetitive word issues. Thank you, Jesus. But it's like if you took Memoirs of a Geisha and you added necromancy and demons. Yay. Sign me up. I'm so excited that it's a series. So I'm on the first one and I love it. This is definitely going to be one of those books where I either ask my husband if he wants to listen to it, which he probably won't want to, or if he wants me to order him a physical copy of the book. And maybe part of it is after reading the same authors I like so much lately. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Shannon Mayer. I love Haley Edwards. I love Jeffy Kennedy. I love Ilona and Gordon Andrews. But they are the same writers, and I read them repetitively a lot.
Yeah.
And then reading 2 books that were bad. Maybe it's just like the overwhelming, this is a new author that I really like, and it's the thrill of discovery, and it's like the butterflies when a first date goes really, really well, and you don't know if you're expecting it to, but you're like, oh, I'm into this. Let's do this again and again. I could be looking at a 3-book commitment here, and I'm okay with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So serious.
Yeah. It's getting kind of serious.
What you're describing sounds like just like, there's authors who tell like a really good story and they produce decent work, and then there are authors who you're like, all right, you used advanced wordsmithing that most people can't pull off. So
it's
congratulations.
Super effective.
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you mentioned the audio thing. You mentioned character actors. Are they having more than one person read the book?
Yes. So
ooh.
A man reads the male perspective, which is current time, the reporter interviewing her. It's narrated by Emily Lou Zeller and Will Damron. Damron? So good. They're so good. It's not jarring. It's not like when it shifts perspectives, it's very natural and exciting things happen in the book. I'm not saying it's not exciting or that it's not paced well or that it's boring, but it's dark and enjoyable and lovely and relaxing the same way that a really good thunderstorm is. And so like when you hear thunder, it doesn't make you jump out of your skin. You're just like, yeah, this is part of it, and you're focused and you're in tune to it, but it also chills you out. I'm finding it very, very chill to read. And again, this could be because most of what I've read lately, I mean, I got this to a certain extent with Jessie Mahalik, the excited new author vibes, but her vibes of her book are completely different. They are adventures taking over the universe, spaceship fights, genetically engineered sexy men things.
Yeah.
And this is just a really good, dark, rich cup of black coffee and a thunderstorm on a spring afternoon. And it's, ooh, I like it.
That sounds magical.
It is. And there are demons. And one of the things I really like is that the main character, the Bone Witch, is not a sparkly, happy, good guy. Like, you don't know her full story, and there are 2 more books, but you definitely get it just straight out says, she's done terrible things, and you're just like, oh, really? Tell me more.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
and then like
tell.
and I like when things aren't so black and white, because that becomes exhausting.
It does.
And there's a huge difference between a character being shades of gray and a character having really been a good guy the whole time and you didn't know it. Haha, just kidding, a la Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
Like and that's fine. That's her tropey trope. That's her genre. People love it. It has its place. But there are levels of complexity to the characters in The Bone Witch that just make it a really enjoyable read. I have not once thought, oh my god, is this scene over yet? Yeah.
That's good.
What are you reading?
I'm still working on, last episode I mentioned that I started listening to Hounded by Kevin Hearn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still working through that and still really enjoying that. There's this whole dynamic between this druid character who the author makes very clear is not like the magic that druids possess varies widely. And so he's done a pretty decent job so far about hinting on what exactly this particular druid can and cannot do. He hasn't gotten into a whole lot of detail yet. But there's this interesting dynamic between the druid and then these deities that have a specific term, which if I were actually physically reading the book, I would remember. But since I'm listening to it, I can't remember.
I love it when deities interact.
Yes, it's really, and they talk about each other, and like this druid is kind of like this touch point, like,
nice.
So I don't know. It's just like a really interesting setup. So I'm still working through that, and then I'm finishing up Addie Larue, and it's just really, so this is a little bit of a spoiler. So if you've started reading it, you get that, okay, she's, stuck in time. Well, she's not stuck in time. Let me refresh that. Nobody remembers her. If she walks out of the room, if you turn away from her, you just don't remember that she exists. And this leads to interesting life implications. And I know I mentioned in one episode, like one thing I like is just seeing how she works around it to survive. Well, not survive. Mm-hmm. How she works about it to really like try to enjoy life as much as possible. But there's this character that actually remembers her. And so there's your spoiler. But that's just like you find that out like mid book. And so it's just really interesting. It's like watching this unfurl. And I'm really curious to see how it, like, how's that going to end? Like, at some point, is the god that cursed her this way going to come in and be like, what fuckery is this? Like, is it a trap set up by said god? Like, how is this all going to play out? So I'm really curious how that's going to end. There's this magical scene that's really well crafted of them in this nightclub. And I just, like, I want to go back and read just that scene, just because, like, it's such good description that you totally get sucked up in it, and it's almost like you're there. So, that's awesome. But anyway.
That's nice. That's cool. I like that. There's a lot to be said for not necessarily stories you can put yourself in, like the first Twilight book when we didn't know enough about Bella, so she was just so vague she could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other authors do that. but it's written so well that you could see yourself in the scene. Like your brain fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
Of what they don't say. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So
what are your vices this week?
I have always loved olives. Like, it's kind of a staple, but like I've been really just wanting to eat olives. Like the Kamalata olives are amazing. Yeah. So I'm finding myself not just grabbing them at meals, but like just kind of snacking on them, particularly with like pickles. Just that salt.
Nice.
So good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a Gatorade to rehydrate yourself.
Yes. Or wine, because that's hydrating.
It's what?
Don't answer that.
There's a Jesus water wine joke in there, and I couldn't get to it. I'm sorry. My vice this week is my friend, my closest mommy friend that I've made up here, the really smart, kind, and actual grown-up one that you need to meet next time you come up.
Yes.
We really need to do a play date. You may just have to go to the playground without your children next time you're here.
It's all
good. We have had many discussions about theology and religion and morality and child rearing and mental health and trauma and stories and like she's so smart and so well read, and she just said to me a couple weeks ago, I mentioned trashy reality TV, and she's like, can I come over and watch Love is Blind season 2 with you? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, thanks. I really need a friend to watch stupid TV with. And I'm like, hello. I've been here all along. I have Trader Joe's wine and snacks. So she's been coming over on Sunday night, and we've been watching Love is Blind 2. And I know it's all out now, but at the time of recording, we were on episode 4. And this past week, we had cinnamon oat milk decaf lattes and macarons. And I have to say, it was a good time.
That sounds amazing.
It was a damn good time. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's a version of Wine and Vampires that is, you know, you need to have something like a show.
Yeah.
That you have a good friend over to watch with that is very vapid and like ridiculous. Love is Blind is vapid and ridiculous, and True Blood is vapid and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
To have the alcohol and the snacks and the hangout time and then do the stupid thing. Like your brain needs you to watch stupid TV.
It does.
With friends.
It does.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because you're actually the second person that's mentioned that show. I have not seen it. I don't even know what the fuck the show is. But you were the second person that has mentioned to me that I need to watch the show. And so I feel like this needs to be part of my stupid TV viewing.
So the premise, and there's 2 seasons, obviously, because I said season 2. Like I said, I'm ahead on my dumb minutes.
That's okay. I wouldn't know. There could be 5 seasons. I wouldn't know. So you're
good. Fair. Thank you for the support.
Yeah.
So they take these people who are established in their lives. They're adults. They're all in like their late 20s to early 30s, I believe. And it's cis hetero, at least for right now, which I understand because when you start just from a math perspective, like if you only have cisgender boys who like cisgender girls and cisgender girls who like cisgender boys, you can only make the combination of one boy and one girl.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start adding in LGBTQ+, the math gets complicated. And it can be done.
Yes.
And it should arguably be done at some point.
Yes.
But for right now, it's 15 boys and 15 girls. And there are these pods. And there's a boy side and a girl side. And they go in and they have these conversations, and there's like a heavily frosted, colored, textured plastic made to look like glass wall between them. And they just talk and they hang out, and they're all given notebooks and they take notes, and they have like, I think it's 2 weeks or 10 days to find out if they've met the love of their life, and they get engaged in the pod, having never seen each other. And then, like, the big thing, well, not the big thing, but the big thing in the first half of the show is when, like, there's this long red carpeted hallway, and her door is at one end, and his door is at the other, and the frosted glass splits, and they see each other for the first time. And some of it is just like, oh, wow, they really like each other, and some of it is just like, oh, this is really awkward. Oh, they didn't want to find a wife. They wanted a Tinder match. Oh God. And then so once they have, not everybody gets coupled up. There were 5 engaged couples this season. All the couples go on a romantic trip to Mexico to see if Love is Blind works in the quote unquote real world.
Oh, because it's totally real.
Oh yeah. Because they do them all from like the same geographical area. So this year's was Chicago. So they all live in the Chicago area. So none of it's like, I'm in love with Jeremy, but he lives literally in Antarctica and I don't think I'm down. So they don't have like that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back to their real lives, and they've got like 3 weeks to introduce each other to their families and figure out living situations and all that other shit, and be together until their wedding. Like, from the day they leave the pods as engaged, they have like 4 weeks to their wedding. And so,
Jesus. Oh my gosh.
And then the last episode of the season is showing the weddings, and I haven't seen season 2. I've been trying really hard to avoid spoilers because we're watching it together, and we watch like 2 episodes a week. I know from last season, sometimes people like get all the hell the way down the altar, and person 1 will say I do, and person 2 will be like, I don't, and then just walk away.
Oh my god. No.
This shit is not healthy. It's trash.
Oh my
But oh my
god.
god.
Does the show pay for the wedding?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They're all
Alright.
at like the same venue. Like they definitely signed a contract at some point. They're all at like the same venue and stuff, which you know what? Like that's fine. And you know, I think this is ridiculous and all this other shit, but my husband claims he knew before we met because we met online and we talked for like 2 weeks and then we talked on the phone a few times before our first date. I think twice before our first date. He claims he knew he was going to marry me before he saw me in person.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, I'm like, this is ridiculous. You can't know. And then my very intelligent, logical husband is like, yes, you can. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe you can. It's worked out for him for like the last years, more than 10 years. Math is stupid. So yeah, it's a good time. You should definitely watch it. And it's, one guy, the thing is, Love is Blind. You're not supposed to know at all what they look like, right?
Right.
All you know is that, and in the first season, there was this one guy that wasn't straight. He was bi, which,
Okay.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Could work.
But apparently his fiance, when they were in Mexico, was not down with that. And when she found out he had dated and been in relationships with men in the past, she GTFO'd.
What?
I feel
Fucking
like
cares?
that's something that, well, yeah, first of all, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Secondly, I feel like that's a thing that should come up in all these deep personal conversations you're having in the pod. Right?
Fair. Yes. Know that if that's fair. That should be disclosed. Like if you yeah.
And not even so much that like people have a right to know if you're gay, but like you have a right to know whether or not that person's an asshole. And then there was one this season. This is a slight spoiler, but it resolves in the same episode, so whatever. This woman is terrible. And she keeps having these conversations with one of the guys in the pods where she talks about what she's wearing and how often she likes to have sex. I'm just like, okay, I am pro-sex, but that's not what I'm here for. Could you not? Talk about your childhood trauma, please.
Yes.
And, you know, with this other, she's got feelings for two guys at once, which happens a lot because you're in pods with these people and you're having these conversations and you're trying to suss out, do we just have friend chemistry? Do we have boot knocking chemistry, or do we have lifelong devout monogamous partner chemistry through a frosted blue wall?
Yeah.
And she, of course, and there's nothing wrong with having sex and being a Christian. There is something wrong with being a catty, nasty bitch and then saying, oh, but I'm a Christian, I'm really devout in my faith. Don't do that.
Oh.
Don't do that. Like, no one cares about the sex or the drinking, but the catty bitch part, Jesus has problems with. And so she's like, the guy she ends up engaged to is an atheist. Cool, fine. She is a Christian, and she is a Christian in the flavor of magic Jesus rode dinosaurs and made everything in 7 literal 24-hour periods. Like, there's no, science does not apply. And he's a very intelligent atheist. And they both agree that, like, this is a bridge they can't cross. But then they get engaged anyway. It was just like, what?
I thought,
did you just want to go to Mexico? Because you can leave and just go to Mexico. Like, it's there.
Yeah, go fuck around in Mexico without cameras there, and you know, call it a day. Be like, all right, that was fun. Ciao.
And that's like the least of the drama with this character. So worth watching if you like reality TV, and good for your blood pressure.
I know what I'm doing later.
So yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's about it for me for this week. Good books, good TV, looking forward to good things, which is very different from last week. I'll take it.
Yes.
If you want to find us online, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and the .com internet as Paper and Vices. You can email us lee@paperandvices.com or victoria@paperandvices.com or business@paperandvices.com. And we do have a Patreon. We are in the process of adding more exclusive content to it. like full long hour-long episodes of drunken book reviews. But right now you can still go and get like stickers and enamel pins and our unending gratitude, because coffee isn't cheap and neither are books.
True
or podcast hosting. Everything costs money.
It does. In the meantime, don't be an asshole. Smoke a joint and take care of yourself.
This has been a production of Paper and Vices, LLC. Copyright 2022. This episode is presented for entertainment purposes only, and any vice should only be pursued within the legal boundaries, common sense, and personal responsibility of each person. Please check your local laws and do not engage in any form of bitchassery. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and guests only, and do not in any way represent the views of Paper and Vices, LLC, nor any named persons, nor should they be considered personal, medical, or legal advice. Previous episodes and other commentary can be found at paperandvices.com and patreon.com/paperandvices.